The betrayal of trust, the Texas Ponzi scheme unveiled. In the heart of Texas, a community of retirees lived their golden years, trusting in their financial advisors, their faith, and their futures. But behind this facade of tranquility, a dark scheme was unfolding, one that would shatter lives and betray the very trust that these people held dear. On a quiet Tuesday, that betrayal was finally addressed, as 65-year-old Debra Mae Carter was sentenced to life in prison for her role in a Ponzi scheme.
Tarrant County prosecutors sentenced a woman to life in prison for her role in a multi-million-dollar Ponzi scheme. Prosecutors believe Debra Mae Carter here came up with the scheme herself. Carter worked with the man she was having an affair with, former Christian radio broadcaster and host William Gallagher, to steal millions from retirees. Carter made fake documents to launder the money they stole. Fox 4's Amelia Jones spoke with one of Carter and Gallagher's victims. Amelia.
Steve, the woman I spoke to, she actually testified in both trials. She told me Carter showed no remorse for her crimes and no remorse for the dozens of people she hurt.
That preyed on the most vulnerable members of society. The charismatic face of the scheme.
On an income account and 15% on a growth account with no market risk.
I did look him up online, but there was nothing bad. It was just all positive about how he was the money doctor.
The mastermind behind His Highness plot was William Neal Gallagher, a man who many knew as the money doctor with a charismatic presence and a soothing voice. Gallagher won the trust of his listeners.
We will show previous client statements with their names blocked out, of course, with their social security numbers blocked out, so they can actually see what a statement looks like and see what a conservative client looks like on paper, what a moderate client looks like on paper, what an aggressive client looks like on paper. I taught in the university, I taught logic and ethics. When I taught logic, I taught critical reasoning. This was 20 years ago before I got my various financial licenses.
I guess the proof is he's told so many people and shared it with them that they too have become successful. So yeah, he's all right. He's a man.
What we did is we left who we previously were with, and we went with Doc Gallagher and took his suggestions, and so far we're very well pleased.
Dr. Gallagher, he's amazing. He's got folks in there with a tiny nest egg, but his attitude again is, however much you have, it's enough with which to start again. And that's very impressive, that he cares about the person, not only their finances, but regardless of how much or how little you have, he still takes the time to see you, talk to you, and consult with you.
So he's very reliable and informative, and I've enjoyed working with him.
Most of whom were elderly and looking for a secure place to invest their life savings. Gallagher presented himself as a devout Christian, someone who not only cared about his clients' financial well-being but also their spiritual health. His radio show and books promised financial wisdom rooted in faith, making him a trusted figure in the community. But beneath the veneer of piety and financial acumen lay a man who was anything but trustworthy. Gallagher was weaving a complex web of deceit, one that would ensnare over 170 people, draining them of their hard-earned savings.
Portrayed himself to be a Christian man, so I totally trusted him.
Gallagher clearly believed in what he was saying, despite criminal wrongs that he had done, pain that he inflicted on various people.
The victims had the life sentence.
The number one question to ask a financial planner is, well, some of the questions people typically say is, how much are you going to charge me? That's a good question. Or how much money can you make for me? That's a good question. How long you been in business? That's a good question. But the number one question to ask is, if I didn't have any money with you, would you still care about me? Because people are more important than money.
The deception deepens Debra Mae Carter's role. Debra Mae Carter was more than just an accomplice. She was the architect of the financial labyrinth that ensured victims would never see their money again. Carter was instrumental in laundering millions of dollars. She funneled money through rental properties, made land purchases, and even set up fake charities. Each transaction was meticulously planned to hide the origins of the stolen funds.
He was more culpable in many ways because I believe that she was the idea person behind the Ponzi scheme.
Her meticulous nature was evident when investigators searched her travel trailer, discovering over $200,000 in gold and silver, hidden away just a small part of the immense wealth she siphoned off from trusting retirees. Carter's role wasn't just about moving money. She ensured that the victims were left powerless, unable to recover what was rightfully theirs. She was the gatekeeper, turning dreams of a secure retirement into a nightmare. The human toll voices of the victims.
I was taken so easily.
Brenda was an avid listener to a Christian radio program that featured William Gallagher, nicknamed Doc. In 2016, when she heard an elder at their church had invested with Doc, she and Gary did too, investing a total of $50,000.
Because I had read his book and I'd listened to the program and I thought it sounded all great.
But in 2019, Wilkerson's world fell apart. First, she lost her husband. Then in March of 2019, the money they invested was gone.
I was already under such a tremendous stress from losing my husband that just really, was a punch in the gut.
And he started presenting to us what a wonderful opportunity this was.
His presentation was probably like an 8% return on your investment and no downside. What could be wrong with that? And we decided to go ahead and invest with him. We pretty much took all our savings. The total was around $750,000.
We were getting monthly checks. We were not having to ask for them. They just showed up on a certain day of the month. We were very happy.
Some of Gallagher's clients were so pleased with him that they agreed to go on camera on his behalf and sing his praises in testimonials.
The courtroom became a place of reckoning, not just for Carter, but for the many victims who had suffered in silence. These were not just faceless numbers, they were people with families, dreams, and hopes for their future. Wilkerson was one of many who shared their stories, recounting how their lives had been upended by the loss of their savings. The pain in their voices was palpable, a reminder of the human cost behind every dollar stolen.
A lot of the individuals that I spoke with didn't really believe that there was anything wrong. And when I was doing the investigation, people would ask me, well, is there a problem here? And I, obviously I'm doing an investigation, so I don't know if he's done anything wrong yet or not. I'm gathering evidence. I'm gathering facts and documents. So what I would tell people is that I was a, police officer, state police officer, and I would investigate financial crimes, and I was investigating some irregularities with their financial advisor.
For many, the financial loss was just the beginning. The stress of losing their life savings led to health problems, broken families, and the loss of homes. The ripple effects of Carter and Gallagher's actions were devastating, affecting not just the victims, but their loved ones as well. The legal battle Carter's trial and sentencing. In a surprising move, Debra Mae Carter chose to represent herself during the trial.
Carter actually ended up representing herself at her trial. The Tarrant County DA's office says their focus is now on trying to get back as much of the victims' money as they possibly can, and they're doing that through a receiver. Brenda Wilkerson told me today that she's seen a little more than $4,000 back from the original $50,000.
But the evidence was irrefutable. After a swift deliberation, the jury found Carter guilty on all counts, leading to a sentence that would ensure she would never again see the outside world. The courtroom was silent as the judge handed down all life sentence, a punishment that reflected not only the gravity of her crimes, but also the lasting impact on the lives of her victims. Debra Mae Carter is a blight on society. She's just a liar. That's what she does. And now she'll pay the price.
What struck me about this case was the many ways in which Ms. Carter was deceptive and her ability to keep straight so many different lies.
This sentence sends a clear message. If you prey on the vulnerable, you will be held accountable. For the victims, there was a sense of closure. But the scars left by Carter's betrayal would never fully heal. The courtroom, once filled with tension, was now a place where justice had been served. Gallagher's downfall and the aftermath.
He looked kind of beat down. I think he knew the gig was up.
A prominent North Texas financial planner is facing serious federal charges tonight. Federal prosecutors accusing him of running a fraudulent investment scheme totaling millions of dollars. If you feel like you're a victim, prosecutors say you should file a complaint.
Gallagher, the man who once promised financial security and spiritual guidance, now faces a life of confinement. In 2021, he was sentenced to 3 life terms, plus 30 years in eternity behind bars for the lives he destroyed.
A man accused of ruining retirements in a radio Ponzi scheme.
More victims reaching out to investigators this week after William, the money doctor Gallagher, was arrested.
Jason Allen is live for us in Hearst now. And Jason, one man told you that he turned over tens of thousands just weeks ago.
Yeah, he cashed out an IRA to invest with Gallagher here. And Ken, he told me that probably should have been a red flag, that Gallagher wanted cash, something that documents show had been disappearing here for years.
The joy of a rich retirement.
After years of appealing to radio listeners as an investment advisor they could trust, William Doc Gallagher's in jail for what federal investigators say was all a fraud. After as many as 60 victims were unveiled in a complaint this week, more have been coming forward, adding to the $29 million total Gallagher is accused of taking. And as far back as 1999, he was reprimanded and fined by the state for falsifying documents.
Doesn't cost you anything up front, but costs us a lot.
Victims say it was Gallagher's radio time and byline on books like Jesus Christ Money Master that made them believe he was a safe investment.
His financial empire, built on lies and deceit, is now a ghost town abandoned, desolate, a stark reminder of the trust he betrayed.
Neil Gallagher has a radio show and is CEO of the Gallagher Financial Ground with offices in North Dallas and in Hearst. He was arrested on Friday. Federal prosecutors accusing him of running a fraudulent investment scheme totaling millions of dollars. If you feel like you're a victim, prosecutors say you should file a complaint with the Texas State Securities Board.
Even the churches where Gallagher once preached his financial gospel now stand empty. The words "see you" in church on Sunday ringing hollow in the ears of those who once believed. But for the victims, the damage is done. The financial security they once trusted in is gone, replaced by a lifetime of recovery and rebuilding. The warning and a reflection. This story is a chilling reminder of the dangers that can lurk behind even the most trusted faces. Gallagher and Carter exploited the faith and trust of their victims, leaving behind a trail of shattered dreams and broken lives.
What do you think made you so magnetic to people over the radio and in your seminars?
Very good, Chris, because I said, if you have an interview with a financial person, you ask them this question. If I didn't have any money with you, would you still care about me? That was, and I believe that.
Yeah.
So most clients were shocked by that. But they realized that I cared about them.
Gallagher clearly believed in what he was saying. He continued to believe that he had earnestly cared about people despite all of the evidence to the contrary.
Borrowed money from client accounts to help meet those urgent needs with the intent from the very beginning of paying it back rapidly, which I was doing. So people came to trust me. Now I realized later on I abused that trust. As you know, that's the reason I'm here.
I really appreciate the victims in all these cases that step forward.
Yeah, always.
Yep, always and forever.
And so I really want these stories to be about my victims and what they went through and not about me. That's it.
You're emotional.
No, don't make me cry. I still feel bad for these people.
I mean, I'm like a cat with a mouse. I just, shake it and shake it. I was ready to get it. And so I did. I think we were able to get back about $400,000 of the $750,000. I just wanted to shout it from the rooftops. Everybody listen, this is a bad deal that happened to us, not knowing originally that it was happening to, so many other people. And you just need to be careful what you're doing out there, and please be careful.
As the sun sets on this chapter, the lesson remains clear: be vigilant, protect what's yours, and never let your guard down, no matter how trustworthy someone may seem. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode of our enthralling series.